To call the meeting to order. Just need a pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
All right, I'd like to open up by welcoming our new member, Carrie Parson. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, or you want to wait another meeting?
No,
You're
sure.
brand new, so.
I'm brand new. My name is Carrie Parsons. I sat on the PTO board at Potter School for 6 years.
Okay,
So this is my first year not being on the PTO there, so I have a little bit of available time, and I thought that I would be a little bit more involved with
okay.
the Finance Committee.
Great.
Are you a town meeting member?
I am a town meeting member, yes, for about 10 years.
That's helpful.
Yeah.
I wasn't when I joined, so I
Oh,
learned that
okay.
it was very helpful. And I
Yeah,
am
so
now.
I'm excited to be here. I'm hoping to learn a lot.
Yeah,
Great,
About-
good to have you.
Thank you. Thank you for the warm welcome.
thank you. Okay. First item on the agenda is the January 8th joint meeting review. Okay. January. Yep.
Mr. Chairman, I didn't put anything in the
Okay,
packet. but-
January,
Yeah,
what was the second one, right?
yeah.
Okay, the
You
other
have
one was
you
in
have a few sets
December.
of minutes, though.
Yeah.
All right,
All right, I'll just open it up for discussion. Anybody, what's everybody's feelings, or?
well, if I may, Mr. Chair, I did see Representative Chris Markey this morning, and I talked a little about my pet peeve being the bus transportation, and I'm gonna set up a meeting with him to discuss the issue with him, okay? I wasn't completely satisfied with the answers that I got, and I think some work could be done to help matters along, and not so much on a town-wide basis, but on a statewide basis. There are a lot of communities in the same problem with having only a few people really being on the bus at any given time, as opposed to us having to supply seats for every student within the Dartmouth school population. So I think something has to be done, and I'm ready to pursue it as best I can, and hopefully we can come to some type of a resolve.
Okay. I had met with him last year, and he had mentioned to me that he knew where there was $75,000 available for transportation, and we never saw it, so you might want to remind him
I certainly
of
will.
our
So
conversation.
he's just as frustrated about this as I am.
Yeah,
And he
yeah.
is having a meeting with Mr. Kiley about this, especially with the students that come long distance from the other side of town, North Dartmouth, and have to be transported all the way to the high school, and that's, according to him, a good 40-minute ride or something like that. You know, they're gonna be on the bus, so.
On an
There's all, yeah, there's all kinds of issues going on there that I think could be, maybe in some way, at least, talked about.
Yeah, okay.
So just
Go ahead.
a quick question, I missed the joint meetings. So you said you weren't happy with the responses from the school committee?
I wasn't happy all in all, well, I got kind of cut off. I was having discussion, and then Sean McDonald stepped in and talked about, well, we have to do this because the state mandated, and when you were on school committee with me, we had the same frustrations back then. And I said, I was about to say, yeah, but what should we do? Should we just sit there and accept it and have the transportation costs go up every year? Or should we at least try to take some stance or at least some position on it? But before I could get those words out, John, I was kind of cut off at the waist, and they moved on to another topic. But I'm just gonna further pursue this.
Well, thanks for taking that on, I think it's an important subject, and I think, starting out with Chris Markey is the right move, because, we're not the only town in the same situation, and this is a statewide problem,
That's right.
and our legislators need to take this on.
Right.
We can sit here and bitch all day, and we're not gonna change a thing,
There you
it is
go.
what it is. But the state legislator's gotta take this on,
it's
and
right.
whoever's who's making up these regulations, it needs to change.
Yes.
It's just not, it's not good for the environment, it's not good for our cause. You know, seeing a bus with 3 kids on it running around town, just no way to do business.
Well, that's why I
Thank you.
asked Chris, I
Thank you.
said, you know, talking about that bus that comes all the way from North Dartmouth down there, I said, well, Chris, you know how many people are on the bus? And he couldn't give me the exact number, he said it wasn't that many. So here we are, bringing maybe 5 to 10 kids across town to the high school. And I know when my kids were going to high school, John, as soon as they got their driver's license, it was like, see you later. You know, they either had their own car or, my case, I was already working in Boston, my wife would wind up taking them to school in the morning, because they didn't even want to ride the bus. And I think that's indicative of a lot of situations with parents and school children in town. So that's my little pet peeve, as I was talking to Bob about, so that's what I'm pursuing.
While we're on the subject of buses, I actually, I was approached by somebody who asked me that if it was true that the bus contract has language in it that only allows buses that are less than 2 years old to be used. And so I actually asked Jim Kiley in an email if that was true, and he said, it's not true, but it's 3 years. And, yeah, it's 3 years. So the way it's written in the contract is, this is 2020, no bus older than 2021 would be this year. And he said after 3 years, the cost of maintenance is more than it's worth. But, I mean, that was his answer, but, I know we use police car, I would think mileage would be more indicative.
So on that subject, and I don't know this 100%, but I believe it's not a state mandate. That's the town puts that in their contract.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, what do we care if the bus is 10 years old? If it meets all the safety standards, and it's only got 4,000 miles on it, what do I care? Or why should the town care?
Yeah,
There's certain standards it needs to meet. Why do we need to dictate it? Heck, it can't be older than 3 years old. Make no sense to me. I mean, I know vehicles 3 years old that have 200,000 miles on it, and other people drive around a 3-year-old vehicle that has 1,500 miles on it. And I'm sure it's the same thing with school buses. If it is town imposed, I think that's a mistake and an opportunity to save some costs.
that drives up the cost, because as we all
Yeah.
know, depreciation, for the bus company, it would depreciate that at a much higher rate. And I know, I'm not saying we get 10-year-old buses, but I'm just saying, I think it should be miles, maybe like no more than 5 years or 6 years old, but less than miles. Because, I mean, our police cars, whatever they last.
Yeah, on the program that the police have, if you look at a police car that's probably been in service for 5 years, they've got probably close to 100,000 miles on it. And they're all local miles, so that even,
Makes
that,
it-
yeah, that makes it worse. I mean, but
Yeah.
they're not getting new vehicles, replacing vehicles that have only 10,000 miles on them. They rack up the miles on these vehicles.
So that's an area right there, on the thing. And what I did, and just so you know, when you talked to Representative Markey, I mentioned to him that Dartmouth is the 3rd largest town in the state of Massachusetts. And the state of Massachusetts would give us more money for transportation because, I compare it to Somerset. I mean, Somerset's a very small town, so their buses don't have to go far, but ours do. And so I feel the state should give us more money just because of that situation. So the next subject that came up was student choice, which I guess you could say I'm opposed to. I did a presentation at the January 8th meeting, and it came down to, $5,000 for every student from out of town. And it's been $5,000 for a couple of decades. And I just don't feel that it's covers the cost of of bringing a student. And I feel that the taxpayers in the town of Dartmouth are paying for students from out of town. And you know, whenever we've met with the school committee, they use the term empty seats. And I said, okay, there are, you know, it's like, okay, there's no cost to these new students because they're empty seats. They're empty seats if you consider staffing level. There's a meeting, school committee meeting on Monday I'm going to attend, and when they have the community input on that, I'm gonna discuss it, because I think, you know, even when, the joint meeting is hard because you can't control who talks. And we went back and forth on it, and, you know, Chris Oliver brought up, you know, we're gonna have to cut all these programs and stuff like that, and that's always a sign that, he said, like, school mentoring and stuff, music mentoring and stuff like that. And this doesn't just apply to our school committee, but whenever you see school committees throughout any town in the United States, when they have a financial crisis, they always cut the things that hit people the worst. It's just human nature, I guess. You know, football, no ball, basketball, things like that. I just think they got to right-size the school for, in my opinion, they have to right-size the school for Dartmouth students. And the other thing, which I didn't have a chance to bring up, because I forgot my number, what was it, 32% of students in the high school are from out of town. And, all those pensions and stuff like that's gonna accrue for all the additional staff they have for these students, is gonna hit the future generations, future years' budgets. So, again, I get down, you know, one of the questions I'll ask at the meeting is, what is the variable cost of the 132 students that they have at the high school that aren't part of the town of Dartmouth? And I guess they're gonna vote. They're gonna vote on it on Monday, so I'll make my pitch and we'll see what happens. Other than that, any other feedback? I did think that your point, you brought up a good point about the school budgets, because the school budget, there are more students that have special needs, then it's going up pretty dramatically, and so that kind of skews the cost per student. In other words, that's a cost that we have to meet by state mandate. So it's $45,000. The average is $45,000 per special student. So it's a lot of money. So you add, you know, because as Terry, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but as Terry pointed out, you know, you can't just go dollars, students. There's different programs that's involved that are costly, that we really don't have any control over. Do you want to talk about that a little bit more, or just?
No, I mean, that's what I said. I guess I would say on, for example, with the transportation issue, it's been talked about, and there are state requirements, but I think that the school district, not the committee so much, but the school district has explained how many miles are in Dartmouth, and for that reason, how long the buses are on the road, and that's a cost. I think when it comes to going to our representatives to change things, what I would want to see changed is Prop 2.5. It's not going to happen. So I'm feeling like, why would I waste my time there when I could instead, you know, work here and see if we can make any changes. But in terms of the staff, I think one of the things Bob and I have a difference of opinion on is that when they say empty seats, what they're saying is they're not hiring staff to teach those kids. They're using the staff who exist at the high school in particular. They're able to offer programs that would have to be cut. Programs like music and football, for example, don't affect all the kids. So when it comes to what you're going to cut, you can't cut programs that affect all the kids. You have to cut programs that only affect some, unfortunately. So I think, I know you have a difference of opinion, and I don't have your background financially, so in terms of variable costs, I don't know. I just know that those seats would be empty, and when they bring somebody in, it's not enough. It doesn't cover the cost, but it's something. And it's bringing in about $600,000 a year to help them offset their budget. And until the state, I was involved when ed reform started, and at that time, they made a lot of promises that have never come through. So I think, the state says what they say, and then they base it on what they can allocate, and if they can't allocate the money, they say, so sorry, good luck. So I just don't think that's going to be something that we can do much about, so. But what we had seen, and you might want to just look at the charts that Sean McInnes presented in the meeting if you get a chance, because he went through and explained the population change, the school population change just in the past 10 years, that it's gone from a population, not just kids with IEPs, but kids who are living in families that are low income, otherwise being stressed. They might not have an IEP, but they have other needs, and the needs have gone, when you look at the chart, it went way up. So even if it's just all kids who live in Dartmouth, it's going to be trickier. But I get why people are concerned. I hear the same questions when I talk to people, so I know people are concerned about transportation, empty buses, shrinking student population. I understand that, but I try to explain why, from what I know, those costs have changed.
Okay. Another subject that wasn't brought up, but I think it's going to be brought up at their subcommittee meeting. Terry, I, and Bill are on it. We attend as liaisons. Did the school committee know that they had $2 million in their account for school choice when they went to town meeting and basically took 20% of the reserve fund, $100,000, to increase the school budget by 0.2%. They had over $2 million. They almost have $3 million in the school choice account now. Because what they do is they take that money and they don't spend it, and they use it for special projects. So we're gonna get an answer to that question. I just, it was, like I said, the joint meetings are really too political, and you can't, it's hard to get something like that. But, and I'll say, and this is for you, Carrie, just to give you a little background. I've been on here 5 years. You've been on here 6 years.
8.
8? 8? Okay, wow.
Thank you.
Okay, 6. All right, maybe I'm 6 then. All the times that we've been on here, every year, the town usually goes, because it's, how much are you gonna increase the budget for all these departments? And usually the town is usually good with 3.5, you correct me if I'm wrong, Gary, about 3.5%,
Usually it's around 3.
Yeah, and usually the schools come in at like 5%. So we get into these issues over that 2% growth.
Right.
And they've gotten it all these years. They've been getting it. And so now the town is saying, well, wait a second, you can't continue because all the money, because we only have so much money. And if the school gets higher percentage than all the other departments, then that becomes a problem for long-term sustainability. So that's kind of where we are now.
Thank you.
From my standpoint, what I don't like, and I don't know if you agree or disagree with me, but
Probably disagree.
At least you're honest about it.
no, but what I don't like is that if they don't get that extra money, it's gonna be the end of the world. And I'm saying, come on, I mean, you know, the school budget's like $54 million. It's well over 60% of the whole
Yeah.
town. And I just don't like them saying, well, the town doesn't support the schools over that little amount of money.
I think what we've been trying to do over the past few years is get as much information as we can
Yeah.
from the school department to understand these things, because that accumulation of school choice money the explanation given was that they had received a lot of, like, millions of dollars for ARPA that had a deadline, and so they spent that instead of spending what they had in that. And that's going to be dedicated to avoid work on an override this year. But it doesn't take away the problem. And I think, I don't know how people can understand more about what's in a school budget, other than, you know, talking. See, I know Jim Kiley over the years. I know he's very, extremely conservative. He's not somebody who's, you know, he throws, what do they say? They throw nickels around like they're sewer covers. He doesn't spend money crazy, and I think that but they have, from what I understand, and like I said, I've only been on the Finance Committee since 2015, but at one time, Dartmouth Public Schools did provide a lot more services, and over the years, they've had to cut back because of so I think the point that I'm making, and it's not just for Dartmouth, is that school budgets can't be funded under Prop 2.5 the way they have been for the past 20 years. But that's what we have, and we have to deal with that.
And there's another, if I may, there's another problem too, is that the state formula, what's the water to the suburbs, is a lot different than what the urban centers get. And I've always thought that was unfair. You're kind of being penalized for living in the suburbs. And that's gonna be addressed too. And that kind of piggybacks what Terry was talking about with 2.5, because it all kind of ties in together, really.
Yeah.
And, yeah, 2.5 should be revisited. There should be a lot of formulas revisited.
Well, the Chapter 70 money that Dartmouth gets is, I think it's what's 200,000 more this year. And one of the reasons that the state will say is because our taxes are so low. So we could raise taxes and provide more. And that's a whole nother conversation
Yeah.
to have.
But the 2.5 has been in force a couple of decades, and it worked when there was low
1980.
inflation. What's that?
1980.
1980?
Yeah, goes back a long
That
ways.
long, huh? Wow.
See what I mean, Bob?
Yeah.
Now you're seeing reason.
No, but Proposition 2.5 worked relatively well with, when there was low inflation. But now, boom, it hits, and now that's what's created some of the problem, because
Yeah.
they can't increase the tax base more than 2.5% per year. And so the towns are limited on how much money they can, their income, it really comes down to that, so.
Thank you.
Okay,
I
yeah, I'm just trying to,
appreciate
yeah, I mean, this,
Catch me up.
yeah.
I appreciate it.
Anybody else want to talk about January 8th? I was glad that, you want to say anything about January? Okay. I was glad that Sean didn't say, okay, we're not going to have another meeting, because I think more gets done when we have like the subcommittee meetings or liaison stuff than it does, or in this meeting than it does in a school committee, select board and thing, because it just kind of becomes a little bit too political. you know?
Yeah, I mean, the December meeting that we had, the January meeting was just a rehash of the December meeting that we had to try to pull everything together. But I will say that, you know, I commend the schools for coming forward and using that money to
Yeah,
try to
yeah.
balance the budget for
Yeah,
fiscal
yeah,
'24. I think
yeah,
that that's
yeah.
really proactive. And, I mean, for '25 rather, and, you know, '26, it's still gonna be an issue. I mean, there's no doubt that the costs in town in general are just increasing. So, I think that, if they, you know, at that, well beforehand, at least it gives us some time to, if we're looking at an override, we have much more time to prepare for one, and look at maybe other sources of funds. you know, but just having us go into an override and then having additional funds there, that might not have been really the way to go. But I do commend the schools for coming forward.
I think
that.
that there's a thought, well, if they can use that for this year, why, but that doesn't increase the levy, doesn't increase the base of what we can use for a budget.
Yeah, none
So
of this
problem-
really does. I mean,
Right, so then
that's
the
really the
problem
point, to Terry's
exists
point. We're strapped with 2.5, and until ever the day comes that gets adjusted, budgets across the state will be tight, not only for schools, but for every other municipal department.
Yeah.
The only thing we talked about at that meeting was that if we had another meeting, we'd like to have the tables in a horseshoe
Yeah.
rather than, because I think this is just a political thing, but the school committee is a separate, they don't report to the select board. We don't report to the select board. It should be, you know, people in the same height, just for.
Yeah, I think logistically was they didn't have enough microphones to set
Oh, yeah,
set that up, because
yeah.
those microphones cannot come off those, off the tables at the top.
Well, get some more microphones.
Or
You'd
share
have to get-
or share
money.
them, Gary, you know,
Yeah.
I think.
Not
Not all
But, yeah, I could- yeah.
Yeah, not, no, it's true.
Yeah. Okay, anything else on January 8th?
Well, what about the kindergarten fund? That was mentioned, there was some monies,
Yeah, I think they're gonna use it.
yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna use it. They had $300,000 in
Yeah.
the kindergarten. Okay, so Recreation Building Committee liaison.
So in your packet, I put the charge for the building committee liaison that they're looking to
Did you get a
have for
package?
the,
I didn't, but I'm taking notes anyway.
for
Oh,
the,
we've got,
you
we've
don't-
got a package for you.
Sorry, thank you very kindly. Oh, thank you, sorry. I'll get the routine of this eventually.
No,
so they're looking for one representative from the finance committee. Designate.
Oh, you're on the, hold on.
So this is the thing, it sounds like this is the thing, this is gonna happen.
Well, this is to explore possibility of the rec center.
This part of that $46,000 that they, remember the
No,
46,000?
that's
Oh, that's
demolition.
something else, I'm sorry.
That's demolition,
It's not-
yeah.
it's not another-
Yeah, that's for
I
that was
got
for
you.
the,
They appropriated,
Station.
what, 1.2 million
yeah.
to
Yeah, that's
And I
right.
believe that was opera funds that we used for.
the design
Yeah.
That's right, sorry
of
about
ARPA funds.
I'm the liaison to Rec, Parks and Rec. And I was on the Police Building Committee. But if anybody's interested in doing this, and it really comes down to, I guess they're gonna meet, how often do they meet?
I don't know if they have the meeting schedule.
I don't think,
Said, yeah.
it didn't say.
Yeah.
Yeah, the initial piece of this is to review specs and plans, I guess, now that they have the funding
Yeah,
to do
that's in
that.
here.
That's really what,
That's in here.
but as far as them, the frequency of their meeting, I don't know if they've determined that yet.
No. Well, as I get into it, as I get into it, it gets more
You're right, yeah.
thing in meetings with the,
Mr. Chair,
yeah, go ahead.
just a commentary. I certainly am not going to volunteer for this task.
Right.
In my opinion, this is just a pipe dream. I think it was a fiasco what the select board did in appropriating $1.2 million for ARPA funds on a pipe dream, on a project that they had estimated is gonna cost $17 to $20 million. The town doesn't have that money today, it's not gonna have that money a year from now, but 2 years from now. We've got too many other priorities. It's absolutely, you do a survey, who doesn't want a rec center? Of course, the survey's gonna come back, yeah, there's a need for that. But then the question should be, well, how much do you wanna pay for it and how much you wanna pay in taxes? It's just not gonna happen. So, this committee, in my opinion, is just a total waste of time, and I'm so disappointed that we wasted $1.2 million where we could have used that for infrastructure at sewage treatment plant or another other places. And then one more commentary, I noticed on the committee makeup, I don't know, I'm assuming it was the select board's charge, I don't know, Gav, if you could get back to administration or somebody. There's no representation from CPC. And I would have to assume that one of the, because the CPC has monies for recreation, that someone's going to want to tap them to.
There is a, maybe there.
No, that's Capital Planning Committee.
No, voting members on this. Go to the second page. Are you looking
Yeah.
at
Let's talk about capital planning.
There's nobody from
it?
CPC.
Representative, right, recreation, right?
Yeah?
It's right
One
there. It's the
representative,
fifth
capital
bullet,
planning committee,
John.
right?
No, that's not Community Preservation Committee.
Preservation.
Oh, I
That's
understand.
two different.
Yeah, capital improvement
All
planning
right,
committee.
too many CPUs.
Yeah, no, there's too many, so they're both CPC, but one's
Community
Capital Planning.
Preservation Committee, yeah.
The Community Preservation
Okay,
Committee
okay,
has recreational dollars
Too
in
many
it.
acronyms.
I know, as this committee goes on, one of the funding options is, well, we can tap town money from CPC. All I'm pointing out, there should be a liaison from the CPC on this. They're one of the stakeholders and they're not included, so if you could point that out, I think it would be
Okay, I'll let
a
them.
right step to
Okay.
include the CPC as well as a stakeholder.
Yeah. I mean, I'm the liaison, but I'm not interested in it. And I don't know if anybody else is interested in it. We got 3 members that aren't here, but I'm focused on the schools right now, and so if nobody's interested, what happens? Do we go back to the select one and say nobody's, I mean, I could ask Adam and Janine and,
We can table this until we find out from the other members that are not here.
all right.
Maybe they have an interest.
Yeah,
And
Yeah,
then we can get
yeah.
back to the select board.
yeah, 'cause-
I'll get back to Sean.
yeah, I tend to agree with John, not as vehemently, but I tend to agree with him, you know, I don't know how they're gonna come up with that kind of money. And, you know, when we got leaking roofs in schools, you know? So I'd rather, you know, doesn't make sense to me, but,
I mean, if I could just add something, I think
yeah,
not having a representative from the finance committee may not be a good thing. I think that if in fact someone would want to do it, I mean, because we want to make sure that what's getting presented, or the finance committee wants to make sure what's getting presented is cost effective to the town, even though some people may not agree with it. I think that it's important that a financial representative is available.
yeah.
Just to make sure everything's followed to spec as far as the finance committee is concerned.
Yeah, I mean,
That's,
If I may,
yeah, go ahead.
and I'm just following on John's point, maybe we should collectively decide as a committee if it's worth, you know, the project is worth investigating, and then at that point in time, take a vote and say we choose at this time not to be part of the committee to investigate this
Okay.
issue.
All right, we'll table it and we'll talk when, you know, we get more members here. And again, this is for Carrie's benefit. One of the things we do is we try to have, each member has different liaisons. So like I have the police station, so I meet with the chief of police and talk to him about his budget maybe once a year. I go, I'm Parks and Recreation, so I go to those meetings. And I'm on Waterways, but you don't have to go to every single meeting. But you have to, you know, it's important, you know, sometimes to like listen to it, because everything's on TV, you know, so that way you can watch it on TV, or you can just zoom through fast, you know, things that aren't important. But right now, pretty much all the, when we, at the beginning of the year, we signed all the people, what people wanted, and So, so as opportunities come up, you may be interested in. So we have, next week, or I'll talk to you about it. I'll show you what the list is. And if you have a particular interest and somebody's not interested in staying on that liaison, then that might be an opportunity for you, okay?
Yep.
All right, so we're gonna table this,
Look,
right?
yeah,
Okay.
that's what the committee wants to do.
Yeah.
And I'll follow up with Sean about CPC.
Okay. So the next item on the agenda is the F-25 budget update and department timelines.
So, right now, we're in full swing with the budgets and the departments. They started, the memo went out last week. It was just a week later because we didn't really, we needed guidance from the committees to decide what we were gonna do as far as an override. So they have all that package in hand. They have the memo, they have the template from the finance committee that I requested them to fill out so that we can have some kind of uniformity. There were some questions on, I mean, obviously it's the first time that they're seeing this, so there were some questions on how they would fill it out, so I've kind of went through it with them. And I told them, I said, it's not gonna be 100% the first go-around, you know, just make the best attempt you can. I'll sit down with you if there's any missing information, so that we're just trying to uniform the process going forward. What I provided you in your packet was the schedule that I will be meeting with on the departments. So the model that we used last year was I sat down with each one of these departments individually, mainly from the top, I'll put it up on the screen. Mainly from the top on the 7th of February, the 8th, and the 9th. The bigger departments, we will schedule for times with Sean, but I met with these groups of departments, so I'll continue that same process. So we'll then gather all their information, we'll key it into Munis, and have the budget prepared to come before the Finance Committee. And then any presentations that they want to give us on these departments, we welcome that. I know the clerk has already said that she wants to meet with us and give a presentation. But this year, what we plan on doing is, I want to have complete packages from the departments when they submit it to me. I want to have everything that they've been told to do as far as the memo is concerned, and the template that we sent out from the Finance Committee. So they're scheduled to get back the budgets to me February 2nd, which is a Friday at 4:30.
February 2nd?
February 2nd, the budgets are due to me. So are the capital due to me. On 1/23, we have a kickoff meeting with capital, CIPC. And at that meeting, I want to go over the strategy for fiscal '25, and then start meeting with the larger departments for DPW, have the schools in. They've already have some preliminary information that they can give us. So once we start getting this information from the departments, we'll have it keyed in. And I'm assuming that sometime early February, we'll have a draft budget to present to the Finance Committee.
Say that again, what was the date?
Early February.
Early
I would
Feb-
say the week after, once we get them in, we key them in as we get them. So I would say maybe the second week of February, we'll have a draft budget.
For every department?
Yes.
Good.
I've got most of the assessments in from Greater New Bedford Voc. I've got the Refuge District just got today.
Okay.
Insurance, we're meeting with MMA. We have an MMA conference, so we're meeting with them. We know that it's probably going to be a 10% increase. So all those numbers we have already.
Insurance?
Insurance, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Pension assessment we have.
And we talked about having an FTE report, and then if there's, to highlight anybody who's requesting new
The
positions.
positions.
In the schools or townwide?
Across the board.
Across the board, yeah.
I'll talk to Randy at our payroll. on that.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah, go ahead.
a couple of questions. Gary, this meetings are with you. Do you have the schedule yet for when they're meeting with the Finance Committee and what departments?
Well, so this is the preliminary schedule from, correct, with meeting with the departments? For me,
For you.
meeting with them, to
Yep.
gather the data, then key it into Munis. So what we'll do after that is, like we did last year, this is actually earlier than last year, you can determine whether or not you want to meet with a specific department or not. Or what I did last year was I presented all these departments to the Finance Committee. But there are some, as I mentioned, I think Council on Aging also wants to come in. But clerk wants to come in. So there'll be a couple that still want to come in to talk to the Finance Committee.
It would be
So-
interesting to know why, I'm sorry to interrupt, John.
Are these public meetings? Can anybody
With
attend?
me? Oh, yes, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they're in my office, so it's not, it's not videotaped, but.
No, I understand that.
Absolutely.
But I could walk in, or any member
Oh,
of the finance
absolutely.
committee could walk in.
Yes.
And they're in your office?
Yes.
Or they're not in a meeting room somewhere?
No, it'll either be in my office in the collector's or in the treasurer's office. Mostly, probably in the treasurer's office, we have room to
And
spread
then
on the table.
I noticed, when will you have times and dates for the big, you got police, DPW, and schools, and you haven't assigned any dates and times. of
On
when-
those, as I mentioned, they're working on their budgets. It's hard for me to determine because they're a lot more involved. So I know like DPW already has their capital filled out. Police is pretty quick. I mean, he turns it around pretty quick. So I didn't want to fill in dates that are not really,
Can you keep
set in
us
stone.
abreast of?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
In case some of us want
Yes.
to sit in
Yeah.
on those?
Yeah, I can actually, once I get the dates for these, I can resubmit this form to the committee.
yeah, that'd
And
be
if
great. I don't know
Anybody
if
wants to
anybody
show up,
else is-
they're free to
Yeah.
show up. It's actually a good idea, I think. To have some, if you feel like you want to be there.
Usually the police are the first one, because, right.
Yeah, I mean, like DPW is a little bit more
Okay.
involved. Schools,
Well, schools, I'm hoping we may have a couple of meetings, to be honest with you.
so I mean, you might want to have, I leave this at the bottom because these are the departments that you may want to have in. You may want to have the schools, you may want to have DPW come in to talk about their budgets, the bigger budgets.
Yeah, no, the big budgets.
Yep.
I'd like to do the library because there's a new, like.
Library director?
Yeah, what do you think? I'm thinking, there's a new library director, so I'd just like to.
Yeah, if you want me to let her know to
Yeah,
prepare for a,
yeah, I would
prepare for
like to, yeah,
a
yeah.
demonstration, we can,
Yeah,
presentation.
so the clerk wants to,
Yes.
and who else, you said?
I believe Council on Aging.
And may I comment on that?
Counsel, go ahead.
I'm gonna- If I may, just
Go
on the
ahead.
liaison to them, I'm gonna call Amy DePietro. I'm gonna be out of the country for the whole month of February, so I'm gonna meet with her hopefully before I go.
Okay,
That way I have an idea what she wants. She was supposed to get a hold of me,
Yeah,
but at that time, she didn't have her budget ready.
yeah.
and I haven't
She
spoken.
may not, I thought she had mentioned this to me back in like November, but I could be completely not clear on it, but I thought maybe she wanted, if she doesn't, I mean,
What, coming back? Well, that's what I wanna find out.
yeah, if she wants to
If
be,
she does, then I wanna sit down with her before I leave, because she's gonna meet with you, according to this, February the 8th.
Yep.
So, all right, so I'm gonna do my best to get hold of her, maybe tomorrow, and see if she's available.
Yep.
At least she can, give me an idea what she's talking about, if she needs any more staff, whatever the case might be, that may impact her, budget. Now, if some of these budgets are level funded from last year, in other words, or do we still?
they're all level funded,
They're all
that's what
level-
we're requesting.
They're all level funded, okay, all right.
Pending contract negotiations or any kind of
Yeah.
thing like that, but they're all being told at level funded.
labor agreements.
Okay,
And the idea with the schedule is, when February 2nd rolls around and the timeline is up for them for submission, that we meet immediately after that to iron through these budgets with them.
all right.
That's what I have in mind, this worked last year, so. And then I'll make the presentation on their budgets.
But I just want to make sure I'm clear, because I know Brian's not here, but, the form that we're looking for.
Template, yeah.
Yeah, the template. It's important that when they present to us, that it's in that form
Format.
that we
Yeah,
ask.
yeah.
Like Terry said, full-time equivalents, last year, this year, and, some verbiage. We're not just looking at numbers, we want to see, what their goals are and what their intentions are.
Yeah, once they present with me, that's gonna be a requirement. They're gonna,
Okay.
if they don't have it, they're gonna have to,
All right,
once they meet with me, if they don't have it, they're gonna have to have it completed.
but I know Terry kept a list last year of the people who didn't do what they were supposed to do. And I guess what I'm saying is, if they don't do it the way we want, don't have them come in, because.
Yeah, well, not only that, some of them won't even ask for a presentation. I'm gonna make sure that I get that data from them.
Okay.
I just want to give a little history for Kerry, that why we're looking for this. So in years ago, it was just kind of a format that every department would come and do a presentation for the finance committee. And over the years, we found that there were questions that some of us had that weren't getting answered during those presentations. And then there were times that we were spending time listening to something that was pretty pro forma. And the work that we have to do as a finance committee is review the whole budget, vote, write up a letter to the town meeting, explain why we voted one way or the other, and that takes a lot of time. So we were trying to avoid meeting with departments that there wasn't going to be a big change. Maybe it was a small budget. Only meet with departments that were requesting changes in staff or increases, and that happens, in a couple of different departments. And then there too, DPW and schools take more than one meeting.
Right.
They really end up being their own meeting because of everything we have to review.
Yep.
And the other thing is, if you're a town meeting member, you have the warrant, we have to vote on every single warrant article. And what we've done is, say we have a different opinion and we vote 7-2 in favor of something. Well, usually, the majority opinion is what's written in there.
Right.
But we also offer, anybody who wants to write a minority opinion on why they voted no, because what's happened in the past is, a lot of times we go to a town meeting and they say, okay, why did these two people vote no? And
Right.
then it's done, so
Yeah.
it's out there, so, yeah, okay. All right, so what, let me just pull up my calendar
You
here.
checking your date to see when it's due?
No. What,
Schedule our meetings, we can.
yeah, when do you think our first meeting's gonna be? So you
So
said,
February 2nd, the forms are due to me, everything is due to me, so that's February 2nd. So we'll be completing the I'll be meeting with them this week here, which is the week of the 5th, which is already next month, a couple of weeks. And then I would say that Munis. Want to start our regularly scheduled meetings on the 22nd?
is that too late? I mean, you don't think you'd be ready for the 15th?
Well, let's schedule something let's schedule for the 15th, so at least we have.
How does everybody feel about that?
Well, you,
Yeah, I think the earlier the better we get going.
Yeah,
And even if it's not the complete draft budget, we can go over what I have. At least I'll have these, that's for sure. Because we might not have, I'm thinking the schools, that's only a few weeks away. We should have the schools, police. Yeah, we should have the majority of the departments submitted. And in Munis, that's what I'm getting at, in
Yeah.
Munis.
but we don't have to have all of them. We can have, whatever department we're meeting with.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Let's say, well, clerk will be done, council on aging will be done, and they want to come in for a presentation, we can get those done.
Do you think we can do that on the 8th?
No, because I'm just
Okay,
just
all right,
meeting with them,
okay,
and
all right,
we're meeting
okay.
with them there.
getting all his meetings.
Okay,
done.
okay, all right,
Yeah.
okay, all right.
I know
Yeah,
Gary's
the
good, but
15th,
he's
let's
not
schedule
Gary.
the 15th.
So, all right, so starting February 15th, we can count on every Thursday, right?
Yep.
4 o'clock?
4 to 6, yeah. And,
Let's see if we can get maybe the clerk in.
okay, so we're not gonna meet
15th.
for a month now, right? There's no reason to meet next week.
Well, we
and
have
then-
the minutes, but that's,
Yeah, no,
we got the recreation
yeah.
thing here. Capital is meeting next week. We're meeting with, the 23rd. We're starting capital.
I mean, I can talk a little bit about long-term capital, and if you want to chime in.
Do you
So
wanna?
the meeting was last week, and they're working on presenting something to the town meeting to give a list of what kinds of projects are in the future being next 40, 50 years, and how that could be planned out, how that could be prioritized, et cetera.
Okay. Do you, All right, so that's it, right? That's, okay.
So middle of March, I'm just thinking ahead here a little bit. Middle of March, we should have met with everybody that we need to meet with.
All right.
And
Well, the
then-
interim will probably be meeting with the schools.
Yeah,
School, you
yeah.
know,
And
they have
then
a
by then,
schools
hopefully
company.
have all the bigger departments in for presentation,
Yeah.
middle of March.
So when would we have something preliminary? Because like I said, we're not gonna meet with every department. We know we're gonna meet with the bigger ones. But even the smaller ones, even though, we hit that, it's a level funded limit, there's always somebody that's out of the norm that's asking for something that we need to meet with. Planning department is one I'm sure we're gonna meet with if they got articles going before town meeting. So when will we know, what's being presented, so we could schedule and pick what other departments we want to meet with? Will we know that on 15th?
You'll know, I can actually ask that as part of the meeting with the group, when I meet with them, and prepare them to say, okay, Finance Committee is looking for dates. Give us a date as soon as you can. If in fact you feel like planning, for instance, will they have anything ready for maybe the week of the 22nd? Maybe the following week. I think the goal is to get all the departments that want to meet and present right out of the way with the Finance Committee, and have a good draft budget in front of us
Okay.
at the same time.
If there's no changes, like number of employees, or they're not switching, I would encourage them to say, on the small departments, encourage them
Not to want to meet.
not to want to meet.
Yeah, that's what I did last year.
Okay.
So
Unless
I'll get a
somebody-
feeling from them.
I say, if somebody really wants to meet with us, they can meet with us, if they
Yeah,
feel strongly
like I said, I had
about
the request from the
it.
clerk.
Or if any of the members want to meet with the
And
department.
I think the clerk was more the elections, because there's multiple elections, and I guess she wanted
Yeah,
to
no, there's
go
like four
through
elections,
that
right?
with everyone.
4 elections this year, right?
Yeah. So the guidance will be, once I get that meeting with them, and anybody's invited, they can, but this is what I'm sticking with the schedule.
Okay.
And during crunch time, we've met twice a week also,
Yeah, yeah.
so, we shouldn't just limit to Thursdays. If there's something we can do ahead of time and do it on a Tuesday, for an example, and do a Tuesday and a Thursday when it gets crunch time, right?
I mean, even end of March, beginning of April, we can start thinking about presentation at the town meeting. Talk about like the memo
Yeah.
and things like that.
All right. So I think what I may do, because I don't know if it can wait, well, I don't know what the timing on this recreations committee there, building committee is. Can we wait till the 15th to vote on that, or, because I can always,
I believe so. I think the selectmen meet, the next meeting the next meeting is Monday, but I don't know if they're gonna be voting on
no, they won't.
on this.
Yeah, no, no.
And I'll just let Sean know that, in the email when I send him about the CPC, I'll let him know that, right now, the members that were present, there was really no interest in serving on the committee. But we still have 3 members absent, and we don't know if they have any interest.
Well, I can get, in other words, I can call them and ask them, so I might be able to get you an answer faster than that.
Okay.
I'm not sure how it's gonna go over, but, does anybody have anything, any updates on any of their liaisons, or it's not on the agenda, but? I don't-
CPC met last night, but we don't
Nothing.
have anything before us yet. Applications are due next month, so we'll see what may be coming for the Pike for the Springtown meeting coming down the Pike.
All right, we wanna move some minutes here?
It's a lot.
All right, so you'll have to abstain. Okay. Because you weren't here.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of December 11th. Finance Committee meeting.
Okay. So Terry made a motion to approve the minutes from December 11th. Somebody want a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, Bill. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None?
Abstain.
Oh, you abstained too?
Yeah, you
Okay.
guys
I wasn't at that meeting.
Okay, so that's 302, okay.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of the December 14th Finance Committee meeting.
Okay, so Terry made him. Second. Okay. Second by, Terry made a motion. Phil seconded it. I was not at that meeting, so I can't vote for it. So, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. So we have 2 abstentions. I have to abstain from that, right? Okay.
Hey, Bob, may I say something?
Go ahead.
Actually, regards to liaison, I just got a text from Amy DePietro. She's willing to meet with me either Friday or Monday.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Make a
So,
motion to approve the meeting minutes from January 4th, Finance Committee.
okay.
Oh, I can't, I wasn't there.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the meetings from January 4th. Somebody want a second? It has to be Bill or Phil. Second? Second, Phil? Okay, Phil. Phil second, okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. So it's, again, it's 3
Abstain.
and 3 abstentions.
I vote yes.
Yep, okay.
Can you take that vote? Although there's 3 abstentions, 'cause it's not a quorum.
It's a quorum.
It is,
Yeah,
okay.
as long as we have enough people.
And then I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from January 8th.
8th, okay. So Terry made the motion. Somebody want a second?
I'll second it.
Bill? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, John is saying, Carrie abstains. Okay, so it's 402.
Just a side note on the minutes, I met Elizabeth for the
Yep.
first time she came to my office to pay a bill.
Yep.
And I just commented on how detailed the minutes are. She does an
Yep,
unbelievable job. It's almost like if you weren't at the meeting, you were at the meeting. I mean, it's that detailed.
Yeah.
yeah, it's good because sometimes you gotta look back at certain things and,
I know, I see minutes in other boards, and they're just bullets. You know, this happened, this happened, this happened. There's no, she does a good job of summarizing what people say without just transcribing it.
I do have a question.
go ahead.
Will we get a digital copy of the minutes, or is it always in paper?
Oh, no, I send them out to the members.
Yeah, via email.
I like to be as paperless as possible. Thank you.
Yeah. The other thing is, if you get an email from any of us, you can't reply all,
Okay.
because we have open
meeting
meeting
law.
laws. So if I send you something and say, what do you think of this? You can reply to me only.
Gotcha.
Or, I mean, anybody can send you a thing, but you can't reply to all, because we can't have a conversation.
Good to know.
That's part of it, so
Yeah.
that's one of the big rules. Okay, so we want to make a motion to adjourn?
I will.
Phil? You can vote for this one. All in favor? All right,
All in favor?
all right, thank you.
I abstain.
Yes.